We all know the movie version of security. The agents, the high-risk missions, the dramatic moments. But real protection starts long before the action. It's the preparation, the discipline, the judgment. The quiet decisions most people never see. Welcome to Risk and Readiness, a podcast from Draco Group, hosted by Ariel Siegelman and Celia Cortez. Each episode pulls back the curtain on the protection world, how professionals think, prepare, stay calm under pressure, and manage risk before everyone else sees it. This isn't a secret. It's a mindset for leaders, organizations, families, and anyone responsible for keeping people safe. Welcome to our first podcast.
Thank you.
We had every intention of starting this off with Draco and what we do, and the premise of the first call was going to be the call we wished never came. But we got a great call yesterday in light of the 7.5 magnitude earthquake in Venezuela.
Yes, we did.
We did. So it'll give us a great opportunity to tell our listeners about what it is that happens behind the curtain of security companies who take care of protection for executives and high-profile clients all around the world. You want to tell them a little bit more?
Sure. So I think that there are a lot of different kinds of companies that call themselves security companies. A lot of times when somebody asks, like, what do we do? And we're like, oh, we run a security consulting firm. And they're like, oh, cool, you deal with a lot of computers? And I'm like, well, I mean, I send emails, but I write reports. I don't really know very much about computers. So really what we do, obviously, is the physical side. I think we do that pretty elegantly.
Indeed.
A lot of times things just run kind of smoothly, especially because we have good plans in place and we check things, and we have a good program that we follow, good algorithms. But then there's a phone call every once in a while, something that you didn't expect. So, for example, right now we're dealing with a pretty major opportunity.
Yes, let's call it a wonderful opportunity to get people to safety.
Yeah. It's, I think that a lot of people can look at it as a crisis. We had a 7.1 and then immediately afterwards a 7.5 earthquake hit Venezuela. Happens to be that we have clients down there right now. It's not a place that is, let's say it's a place that would be considered fairly high risk without this problem going on.
Yes.
So obviously getting the phone call first from our team, like, hey, we just had a major earthquake. I think that sitting in an office, you can look at that and be like, oh, okay,
That's
sure,
terrible
whatever.
for
Gosh, are
people
you
on the
okay?
ground, yeah.
Yeah, but to think through like, okay, well, what are all the potential problems right now that we're going to have to deal with? Because we've got people whose lives are in our hands.
Yes.
So first of all, are you guys okay? Like, is anybody hurt right now? Mm-hmm. Okay, no, nobody's hurt. Great, fantastic. Well, what are the potential problems now that we're going to have to be taken care of? So things as simple as they don't have any gas.
In the country, gas stations are shut down. People are without fuel for their vehicles. Yes.
Right. So, they also don't have water. Yes. So, what's going to happen now when after it hasn't been 24 hours yet?
Not even, and people are already starting to show that.
Yeah. So I think it's actually an interesting problem to walk through theoretically for where we are right now in the United States. I mean, I think that, a lot of Americans take for granted the fact that you turn a little dial and water comes out.
Always.
It's like magic. Mm-hmm. It's just always been that way. And because it's always been that way in everybody's memory, they just assume that it's going to be that way tomorrow, obviously, but it might not.
That's right.
And so how long is it before water doesn't come out of the faucet and people start going crazy? So we're not 24 hours in, and there's already a fear of civil unrest.
Yes.
And we don't mean just people standing with signs and being like, rah, rah, rah. We're talking about people will be willing to kill someone to get
feed
water.
Their families, get water for their families, get home to their families if they're not home. Absolutely.
Yeah, so these are the kind of things we have to think about. So what did we do? What were the steps we've been
let's
taking?
walk through from that first phone call. We got that phone call that said, hey, we just went through not one, but two major earthquakes. Mm-hmm. We have to make sure that our clients are protected, our team is safe. Mm-hmm. So step number one?
Well, step number one was to make sure that right now there's no danger to the people that are with us. And I think that the team was actually really touched because once we understood that the clients were taken care of and that they're safe, we got them back to their hotel. We found out that the hotel is still structurally sound.
Yep, food and water and even Wi-Fi.
Well, also, first of all, we wanted to make sure that the building wasn't going to collapse on them.
Well, yes.
So structurally sound.
Yes.
Then we checked and made sure, okay, they got food, they got water. They even have electricity because it's a nice hotel, so they've got that stuff going on. But that also means that it's a good target for people who don't have water
That's
and
right.
don't have food. So it's one of the concerns that we have. We asked the team, though, hey, are you guys okay?
Are your families
okay? Because, it's a twofold question, I think, because number one, I do care about our guys.
Absolutely.
Number two, that if you know that if you can't get in touch with your kids or with your wife and you're on a detail,
Yes.
that alone might stop you
Major
from
distraction.
Yeah. So we have to know that the people that are taking care of our clients, that they're taken care of because they can't take care of the client if they're not taken care of.
That's right. They need to know that we care about their safety, their security, and that we want them to be taken care of. Absolutely.
100%.
So our clients are in the hotel. They've got good shelter, good food, good water.
Yeah.
Everything is safe and secure there. But now we've got to get them out.
Well, yeah, so we've got to get them out. And that's actually what we're working on right now. Like, this story isn't over.
That's right.
We're in the middle of the story.
Yes.
So we get a phone call from the client, the back office, saying, "Hey, we got to get the guys out like right now." Well, it turns out that the international airport is
completely shut down.
yeah, completely
Runway's
shut down.
Damaged.
The runway has a big crack in it. Flights can't come in. They've actually shut down the airspace fully. So there's the client then calls and is like, "Well, I saw that there's a couple of flights that are still coming in and out." We have to explain to them that, like, listen,
Is there emergency flights, military flights?
right. And part of what people may see on the news, I know this is maybe shocking to some people, but a large part of what you see in the news is a piece of the story and not the actual real story, or sometimes it's just flat out lies. Maybe it's not up to date. Maybe somebody wants you to think one thing, and so they put it in the media. And it may not be true. Like, there's a lot of things that can be going on. The way you have to know. You have to know the truth, right?
That's
like,
right.
if you're in this business, you can't be like, "Oh yeah, I saw on the news that the flights are working." No, man, we have people on the ground. I'm telling you right now, I'm looking at the airport. I'm talking to the guy in the Port Authority. There is nobody coming in except for military flights and humanitarian flights.
Absolutely.
So now we have this dilemma. They want to get the people out. Why do they feel this urgency to get their people out? Well, I think there's a twofold reason. There's an emotional side
Of
that
course.
says, like, "Oh my God,
Dangerous time. Got to get them out.
yeah, we want to get them back to the office. That's where
Yes.
they're safe."
Yes.
We already know that this is a risky environment, but now it's a more risky environment. There's all these unknowns. We want to get away from the unknowns. We want to get to where there's a known. We can be in control, and that's what security is about, right? It's about control. So the client knows emotionally that they want to be in control, and right now they're not in control. I think on the other side of that is that the client also is savvy and has an understanding that, like, in a couple days, people are going to be literally killing each other over food and water. It's a sad reality, but that's just the reality of humans. As soon as you take away the
Comforts of life.
the regular comforts of life that we all take for granted, we very quickly fall into our animalistic side.
That's right. So definitely important for us to get them out of there. And one of the things I feel like sets us apart, and I'm very proud to talk to people about, is those resources that we have on the ground, right? The fact that we can call the superintendent of the airport, the fact that we have someone on speed dial from the Port Authority that we can say, "Hey, what is going on? Please fill us in. What are our options?" And having those resources that's real time that we can then feed back to the client, I feel like makes all the difference to help them understand we got this.
100%. Yeah, I mean, it feels good, I think, to have a client on the phone who is a many hundreds of billions of dollar client who says, "Wow, I really appreciate what you guys are doing. Oh my gosh, that's such great information. Oh my gosh, thank you so much." And that's a testament to you're doing something right.
That's right.
Because if you got that kind of money behind you, then you can have anybody working for you.
That's right.
So So what did we do? So some of the things that we did, first of all, we want to, what sets a professional security company apart, I believe, is that you need to be thinking through all of the potential negative problems that you might encounter. What's your potential negative future? And so it's very easy, I think, to watch your Hollywood movies and be like, everybody loves to focus on shooting. They're like, oh man, if a guy comes out and, I'm going to be faster on the draw and I'm a really good shooter. And a lot of guys in this industry, a lot of guys don't practice anything. Forget about them. I'm just talking about the people who are on the upper tier of the industry. Mm-hmm. In the upper tier of the industry, you got guys with big muscles, you got guys with fancy guns, fancy equipment. That's all great. The stuff that you don't see, though, that's not Hollywood, is the planning behind the scenes. So, if doing 1,000 push-ups is an important part of the job, so like, how do you get good at doing 1,000 push-ups? Just do lots of push-ups. Do lots of push-ups. You'll be able to do 1,000 push-ups one day. Who cares? If that's what's important, you can do it. So what's actually important, though, I mean, I'm not saying that push-ups are a bad thing. I'm not saying that shooting's a bad thing. I'm just saying that those are things that are easy to focus on because those are things you can look in the mirror and be like, wow, I look good naked.
That's right.
But what do you not see that makes something professional or unprofessional is, have you thought about your potential negative future beyond the shootout? So, like, do you know where the airstrips are? Do you know where the hospitals are? And what are the capabilities of the hospitals? Have you gone to the hospital to check? And see, just like the client says, oh, well, I looked at the internet and I saw that flights are going in and out. And we're on the ground and saying, what you saw is not true, or it's slightly true, but this is the important information that you don't have.
Yes.
Going to the hospital and walking in and being like, oh, you say you're a level 1 trauma facility. Great.
Show me.
Yeah, show me. Show me. I'm here. My feet are on the ground. Now I want to see it.
Who's the trauma surgeon?
Mm-hmm.
Is he here?
Yep.
Where's your equipment? Where's
Yep.
your room for operating?
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes
Yeah.
they'll say something, but when you actually show up on the ground, they don't have the resources they need to hold that title. And that's why going there is so important. Again, that's what sets us apart, is that we're willing to go there and ask those difficult questions.
Mm-hmm. Or how about the fact that maybe they do have those capabilities, but if you have a problem, and again, thinking through the details of the problem that you may have, somebody gets injured. There's a car accident, right? You're probably far more likely to get in a car accident than you are to get in a shootout.
Yep.
Okay, let's say that there was a car accident. It happens. You're going to show up to the hospital. You're going to rush them there. A lot of times in these places, there's not a good ambulance service that you can rely on.
Yeah.
You want to check that too, but like, let's say that you're the one taking them to the hospital. Do you think that you're going to get seen faster if you've already been there and you have the phone number of the person at the front desk, you have the phone number of the doctor, you have the phone number of the people, you have a relationship that you've built?
That's right.
So like, are you just going to show up and be like, help, help? Or on the way, can you be like, hey, I've got this problem. I need you to be waiting for me at the door. I'm coming to this door. You've checked the door you're coming into. You've checked the route from the door into the operating room. Like, you know where you're going. And
That's
you
right.
know the people who are going to pick you up. And now I got somebody calling me. Yeah, never mind. That's not an important one.
Let's go ahead and silence that.
Well-
Well, at least so it's not.
It's silent. But the reason that we have our phone on, obviously, is because we're dealing with an emergency situation right now. I know it may not sound that way through my voice, but this is the way emergencies work. Like, there are times, I've got to be available to the people we have all these people out there looking. I mean, some of the stuff that we did, we're talking about preparations.
Yeah.
So we've got guys right now who are on motorcycles because there's cracks in the roads. There's buildings that have collapsed. There's
Gridlock traffic, abandoned vehicles.
Right. There's tens of thousands of injured people. We don't know how many dead. People are taking their injured friends and family in their own vehicles and trying to get them to hospitals that are completely overwhelmed with injured people. So, and what are we trying to do? We're focused on our clients and trying to get them out of the country. So we've got guys on motorcycles. We've got a team that's like Paul Revere style, riding as fast as possible, checking landing strips, because it's not enough that we know where the landing strip is. I got to know that the landing strip doesn't have a big crack in it.
That's right.
Like, can we
Can
get
the
in
plane
there?
get there? Can
Yeah.
they leave once they get there?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So if one of those guys is calling me and he's like, hey, man, I got an option right now. I got a plane and I got a landing strip. Let's go. So I got to be able to answer that call.
Yeah, we'll take a pause for that. Absolutely. Great. So we want to make sure that our listeners, as they're listening to this, they get that peek behind the curtain. They understand how security works. And so far, we've given them a lot about international operations and things that we have to think about when natural disasters happen, taking care of clients on the ground. I'd love to bring us back to some of the domestic things that we deal with on a regular basis and some of the domestic clients that we have in the U.S. and things that we want them to be thinking about. And this is not just for someone who's in the security space, right? I want for the parents who are listening and the leaders of organizations who are listening to walk away saying, oh, I now know these types of things. So what would be the one thing that you would, the first, I should say, of very many of our podcasts, of things that you would introduce to someone from a security concept that they can walk away with and already they're a little bit safer and more secure?
Oh, it's a great question. I think, whenever I start talking to a client or talking to anybody about security, that first conversation really revolves around like making sure that we're speaking the same language.
Yes.
So my first question is always like, well, what is security? What does it mean? Because I think it's very easy in society to be like using words and I think that nowadays we see people using all kinds of words and
They don't mean much
and
sometimes.
Yeah, it like doesn't mean anything. It's like we're just making up meanings for words.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have a very specific thing that we do. We work in the field of security. We try to give a very high level of service. But what does that mean? What is security? And often you hear people say they use security and safety interchangeably. So we'll go into a corporate environment and we'll be talking about security. You'll hear them say, well, we have a safety plan, we have a safety team, our security and our safety and our security and our safety. And it's clear to me that people may not have a good handle on like what is the distinction between the two and what do they actually mean when they say security. So that's where I start the conversation.
Absolutely.
So what do you mean when you say security? Our definition is that safety is about the controls that we implement into the environment in order to protect against acts of God. And we don't have to have, so like we can have a philosophical conversation. You don't believe in God, no problem. It's nobody's fault. Or if it is somebody's fault,
they didn't mean it.
They didn't mean it. They put the car in reverse instead of drive and they accidentally backed into the building. That could happen. Somebody spilled something on the floor. They didn't clean it up. Someone slipped and fell. That's a safety issue. Nobody meant it. Security is specifically about the controls that we implement into the environment in order to protect against human intent. So if someone has malintent, they want to come in here and do us harm physically, they want to steal from us, they want to hurt they want to breach our computer system and so there's security no matter where you are and what field of security that you're in ultimately comes down to human intent.
Yes, absolutely. And this situation that we're talking about today is unique because we have both an act of God, right, or earthquakes, and then we have security component that's our responsibility.
That's right.
So oftentimes they go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. They have to be thought of and considered and planned for together. Mm-hmm. It's not just, okay, that's a safety issue, there's nothing else tied to it, or it's just security, I don't have to think about safety. A lot of times there's things that go hand in hand
100%.
that we should all be thinking about.
Yeah. No, it's 100% true. There are major overlaps. I just think that it's really important for thinking about these things properly. You have to be able to make a distinction. You have to be able to know, like, okay, this is a safety issue I'm dealing with, no problem. And this is a security issue that I'm dealing with. To make that distinction helps you drastically.
And give us just a moment. We'll be back with you.
Yeah, sorry.
So one of the things that we are known for is helping our clients know and understand security at a different level. And it's often because we define things for them in a way that other people don't do that. So what are some examples of things that we help define for our clients?
Yeah, I mean, those two pieces that we just talked about, safety and security, making those distinctions are very important. I think the other component is kind of identifying, like, okay, we want to protect against human intent. Well, what happens if if this person with malintent is able to breach your security, come in, do the thing that they wanted to do to cause you harm? So what happens is we have normal life, our routine life. Our routine life is disrupted by this bad thing happening, whether it's someone shooting at us or somebody even coming into your school and screaming and yelling in front of the kids, right? Like that's a security issue. You want to keep that away from the target. So like what is happening is you are having an emergency. Well, an emergency by definition is when your routine life is disrupted, you have lost control, because routine life is about being in control, right? So like I think about security as maintain control of your environment, maintain control of the situation. That means you have security. If you lose control and there are bad consequences, then you are having an emergency. And what you need to do is make sure that you prevent an emergency, right? So like that's security. Or you can't prevent all emergencies. So like maybe somebody did put their car into reverse and back into the building. Now we're talking about safety again. It's good to make the distinction, but it's still where they overlap, where it's about controlling the environment. Okay, so now we had an issue. There was a bad situation. We couldn't prevent that bad situation, but certainly we can do something to stop the bad situation. We can do something to respond so that we minimize damage. So security, in a nutshell, is control the environment, control the situation, prevent bad things from happening, and knowing that sometimes bad things will happen, being highly prepared to respond to those things so that you can regain control as fast as possible, thereby reducing damage to the greatest degree possible.
Absolutely. And it's funny because we often give that to folks and they have a hard time conceptualizing it until we put it into examples for their school. I think an angry parent coming in and screaming and yelling about something is a great example for a school environment or a corporate environment. A recently fired employee comes in and he is disgruntled and wants to cause a scene. They need to know that it constitutes an emergency for them because they don't know how that's going to escalate. They need to know how to properly regain control of that and get that control back into their own hands. And that's one of the things that we specialize in teaching our clients, because you don't always think about it in those terms. But when you think about it in those terms, it makes it that much easier to reduce the risk in your environment.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's very easy to take all these concepts and make them sound really super complicated and be like, again, the movie side of security can be, it's very interesting if it's mysterious. But I think the genius of security is to, like in anything, it's to take something that may be a complicated scenario, or certainly if there's an emergency and there's dire consequences, if there's someone attacking you, it is chaotic. It's scary, it's chaotic, you may not understand anything that's going on, but the way that you can deal with that best is by simplifying it to the greatest degree possible, and recognizing that in every situation, especially in one that's chaotic, there's a huge amount of information being thrown at you, right? This environment is full of information, but really very few things are relevant. So learning how to filter out all the irrelevant information in the midst of some highly emotional situation is really the elegance of security.
Absolutely.
And of combat, and of anything that, I think that really an emergency room physician would probably agree.
Yes, I would agree. I would agree that they would agree.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. Wonderful. So we don't have a conclusion right now to our situation in Venezuela, and I very much look forward to bringing that to our listeners on our next episode.
I'm going to give you a window into what will happen.
Okay, let's hear it.
We're going to succeed.
We are going to succeed. Our clients are going to get out. They're going to be very happy. They're not going to be stuck in Venezuela for the next 6 weeks or whoever knows how long. We will succeed in getting them out, but looking forward to sharing the details of how we do that and how we make that happen.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up our first podcast, what would we like to leave our audience with? We've dropped some definitions, some peek behind the curtain of international executive protection details. How about what we may be talking about in the future? What are some things that you really feel like it's important for people to generally understand about security or their own safety? We're just going to wing it. We're going to wing it and give them an idea of what might come.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can talk more about models, more about definitions. I would love to share, stories with people. And I guess, it was funny when we were talking about this originally. You're like, oh, yeah, we're going to share stories with people. I was like, stories? I don't have any stories.
And I laughed at him. I laughed. We don't have stories. We have a trove of stories and crazy things that have happened and we've overcome and we've gotten clients out of and lots of stories.
We've operated in approximately 50 countries in the world. Most of them are pretty rough places. So we've had an opportunity to meet really interesting people, have really interesting interactions with people. I find it fascinating because I have a degree in anthropology. So like here I am working in the security industry, but really secretly I'm an anthropologist. Mm-hmm. So this just gives me an opportunity to study human culture. I think that we get to really see what a human is when people are under stress. And so security is about kind of dealing with stressful situations in an elegant manner. Like I said before, right? It's about preventing a bad situation, but it's about thinking through like, well, what is a bad situation? It's a stressful situation. It's a stressful situation because it has potential terrible consequences. To me, that's fascinating because then we get to analyze like, well, what is a human being? And how do different cultures deal with stress? And what are the kinds of things that, when you distill the human animal down to his most basic characteristics, what is it that we could expect from humans? So I don't know, maybe that's a little too philosophical, but like I think about those things.
Anybody listening should know that this is going to get philosophical if you're involved. So if you're a philosophical kind of person, you're going to enjoy listening to Ariel philosophize about all the deep things.
I'm always having her tell me, oh, for God's sakes, can you just give me a short answer? Why do we have to start in the year 70 AD?
I asked for the Reader's Digest version. And for those who are pretty young, you may not know what Reader's Digest is, but for our older listeners, I often ask for the Reader's Digest version.
I'm always like, well, this is the Reader's Digest. I mean, you can't understand this situation if you don't know about the Romans.
So with that, we very much look forward to being on this journey, analyzing things along the way, thinking about security concepts in ways that are going to help you in your everyday life. And we're excited.
And maybe some cool techniques and tactics as well, like why not?
Why not? Fantastic. Well, thanks for listening to Risk and Readiness from Draco Group. We wanted to share with you all that the mission was successful. We were able to get our clients out of Venezuela and back home where they belong. Huge thank you to everyone who helped us pull this off. And if you want to see the jet taking off and see our amazing pilots who helped us, head on over to our Draco Group official social media pages.